Welcome to Daily English Dialogues channel, Formula One. It's just this massive spectacle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Technological, logistical, athletic. It really grips millions worldwide.
Yeah.
We see the drivers, their skill, which is, well, immense.
It really is.
But underneath all that speed and adrenaline, there's this whole other layer, a universe of, meticulous strategy, cutting-edge engineering, and this really specific language, a technical lexicon almost.
Exactly. And that's what we want to dive into today, to go beyond just the excitement on the surface and really give you, the listener, a quick but thorough understanding of how it all works.
Okay.
We're focusing on that highly technical language, the strategies, the things that are truly underpinning success in F1, because it's this amazing confluence of factors.
Right.
You've got the driver, of course, then the incredibly advanced car, and the pit crew working like clockwork. It's what we call the F1 Trinity.
The F1 Trinity, I like that.
Yeah.
Driver, car, pit crew.
And understanding how those three interact, especially the role of the pit stop, which is so critical, that's key to really getting the sport's sophisticated strategy.
Okay, let's get into it. This sounds fascinating. Where do we start? The scale. The cars themselves.
Let's start with the machines. Part 1. The anatomy of the F1 machine and its environment. When you look at Formula One, you're really looking at the absolute pinnacle of car engineering, no question.
Yeah.
These cars are just the result of relentless R&D and the money involved. Well, it's frankly astonishing. Teams operate on these truly gargantuan annual budgets.
Gargantuan is the word. Some top teams are hitting, what, $500, $600 million a year?
Exactly. That kind of money. And that level of investment, you see it directly in the power unit.
Engine package.
Or the PU. And it's kind of surprising, the engine size itself, isn't it? A 1.6-liter internal combustion engine, the ICE. Most performance road cars have bigger engines than that. Why so small in F1? That's where the real engineering magic comes in. The 1.6-liter size is set by the regulations, sure, but the real constraints are things like the fuel flow limit, how much fuel they can burn per hour, and needing components to last for multiple races.
Right, durability.
Exactly. So despite that size, when you combine the ICE with all the hybrid elements, the whole power unit, the PU, generates nearly 1,000 horsepower. It's just this exquisite confluence of efficiency, power, and making it last. Truly one of the most advanced engines ever built.
And yeah, calling it just an engine feels old-fashioned now. It's the power unit, the PU, this complex system. You mentioned 6 components working together.
That's right. 6 key parts in sync. Could you walk us through them?
Sure. So you start with the foundation, the internal combustion engine, ICE. Then you add the turbocharger, TC.
Okay.
Then come the 2 motor generator units. You've got the MGUH, which recovers heat energy from the turbocharger.
Clever.
And the MGUK, which recovers kinetic energy, mostly when the car is braking.
Okay, harnessing wasted energy, basically. Precisely. That energy gets stored in the energy store.
Yeah.
Essentially a very high-tech, high-capacity battery. And the whole thing is managed by the control electronics, CE, the brain of the system, deciding how and when to deploy that hybrid power.
Incredible complexity.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the power.
Yeah.
But visually, F1 cars are all about aerodynamics. It's not just about cutting through the air. It's about using the air, right, to push the car down. We call it downforce.
Downforce, absolutely critical. It's the aerodynamic force that literally presses the car onto the track surface. Creates grip, adhesion.
Stickiness.
Exactly, stickiness. And that's what lets them take corners at speeds that seem, well, impossible. The drivers are pulling huge lateral forces, sometimes 5, 6, even 7 Gs.
Which is just brutal on the human body. Staying focused under that kind of load.
Requires peak physical condition, absolutely.
So where does this downforce actually come from on the car?
Mostly 2 main areas. First, you have the wings and winglets, front and rear. These are adjustable airfoils shaped specifically to direct air and create that downward pressure. And second, the floor of the car itself. The shape of the underbody acts like a huge upside-down wing sucking the car to the ground. And then you have the nose cone, the nose box, which is crucial for managing airflow at the front, but also for driver protection, safety structure.
And the amount of downforce is just mind-bending. I read they generate enough that, theoretically, they could drive upside down at around 160 miles per hour.
That's the classic example, yeah. It illustrates the sheer power of the aerodynamics.
And it has real-world impacts, especially on street circuits. You mentioned manhole covers.
Yes. The suction created by the car's floor, the downforce, is so strong that they have to weld down or secure every single manhole cover on a street circuit. Otherwise, the cars could literally pull them up as they pass over.
Wow. That really paints a picture. Okay, speaking of circuits, let's nail down some terminology. The team's base at the track, that's the paddock, right?
Correct. The paddock area is where the team set up their garages, hospitality units, engineering stations. It's the operational hub.
And specific track features. What about a chicane?
A chicane is a common feature. It's basically a sequence of tight, alternating corners, usually put into a fast section of track. The main goal is safety, to slow the cars down.
Right.
But they also often become key overtaking spots because drivers are braking hard and navigating the tight turns. Creates an opportunity.
Makes sense. And you mentioned the difference between permanent tracks and the tricky street circuits like Monaco or Vegas.
Yeah, street circuits are a whole different beast. They're temporary tracks using public roads, so naturally they have less grip than a purpose-built racetrack.
Right, less rubber laid down.
Exactly. They're often bumpier, too, and the logistics are immense. Sometimes roads have to be open to the public each night and closed again in the morning. Quite a feat.
And early in the weekend, Friday practice maybe, you hear commentators talk about a green track. What's that mean?
A green track just means the circuit hasn't had much running on it yet. There isn't a lot of rubber laid down on the racing line from the tires.
There's less grip.
Significantly less grip. It makes the early sessions quite tricky, potentially slippery. The track surface evolves over the weekend as more rubber goes down, getting faster and grippier. Teams have to predict and adapt to that changing grip level.
Okay, let's shift to maybe the most visible part of that F1 trinity in action, the pit stop. Car, driver, crew, all needing perfect execution. And it's history. It's just this inexorable march towards incredible speed, isn't it?
Yeah.
The improvement is staggering.
Oh, staggering is putting it mildly. If you go back to the very beginning, the 1950s F1 World Championship, pit stops were, well, almost leisurely. Chaotic, really.
How long did they take?
The average was nearly 67 seconds, and maybe only 4 mechanics involved. Compare that to today. It's night and day.
67 seconds. That's an eternity in racing. And the rules around pit stops have changed things dramatically over the years too, haven't they? Sometimes speeding things up, sometimes slowing them down.
Absolutely. Regulations have been a huge driver. For instance, in the early 80s, they first allowed refueling stops. That brought the average down to about 11 seconds.
Still slow by today's standards, but a big jump.
A huge jump then. But then, from 84 to 93, refueling was banned, so teams focused purely on tire changes. That pushed times down further, maybe 6 to 8 seconds on average. Benetton even managed an amazing 3.2-second stock in 1993.
Wow, 3.2 back then.
Yeah.
But then the FIA changed its mind again and brought refueling back from 94 to 2009.
They did. And that, predictably, slowed things down again. The average crept back up to around 8 seconds. Why? Because pumping fuel takes time. That became the limiting factor, not the tire change itself.
Right, the physics of fuel flow.
Exactly. But since 2009, refueling has been banned again, and that's what's led to the incredible optimization and the breathtaking speeds we see now.
And where are we today? Average stops.
Typically around 2 to 2.5 seconds now. It's just phenomenal. That's roughly a 96% reduction in time compared to the 1950s.
96%, that's efficiency defined.
It really is. It's the peak of human and mechanical coordination. The official world record is held by Red Bull 1.92 seconds, set back at the U.S. Grand Prix in 2013.
1.92 seconds.
Oh.
It's unbelievable. And that stop actually made a difference in the race outcome for Mark Webber, didn't it?
It did. It helped secure him a podium finish. Shows how crucial even fractions of a second are in F1. Milliseconds matter.
We always focus on the drivers, naturally, but the pit crew. They're the unsung heroes here, executing this perfect, meticulous choreography. How many people are actually involved in a modern stop?
It's usually around 20 people. 20 highly trained, specialized mechanics, all working in incredibly tight synchronization within the pit box.
20 people for a 2-second stop.
Yeah, and that choreography isn't accidental. They practice it relentlessly, thousands and thousands of times over a season. Because even a tiny delay, we're timing a tenth of a second, that can be the difference between winning and losing a position, maybe even a podium.
Okay, let's break down who does what in that 2-second blur. Who lifts the car?
That's the job of the jackmen. You have one at the front, one at the rear. They use these high-speed pneumatic jacks. There's usually a backup jackman at the front, too, just in case. Contingency.
Got it. And then the wheels, the crucial part. That takes several people per wheel, right?
Correct. For each of the 4 wheels, you typically have 3 people. First, the tire gunner. They use the pneumatic wheel gun to whip off the single retaining nut and then tighten the new one. They signal they're done by raising the gun. High-pressure job. Then you have 2 tire carriers per wheel. One pulls the old wheel off, the other puts the new one on. Needs strength, speed, precision. 8 carriers in total.
Okay, so jack, men, gunners, carriers.
Mm-hmm.
who's coordinating all this. The conductor of the orchestra, so to speak. Historically, the lollipop man.
That's the traditional term, yeah. Although nowadays it's usually electronic lights, not a physical lollipop sign. But the role is the same. It's often the chief mechanic. They oversee the whole process, make sure everything's completed correctly, and crucially, decide when it's safe for the driver to leave the pit box. They give the signal to go.
And safety is obviously paramount in the pit lane. The FIA has very strict rules about the pit lane itself.
Oh, absolutely. The pit lane runs parallel to the main straight. It's divided into the fast lane, which cars use to transit through, and the inner lane, right in front of the garages where the pit stops actually happen.
And there's a speed limit.
A very strict speed limit, usually 80 kilometers per hour, sometimes even lower, like 60, depending on the track layout.
And if you break it,
That results in a penalty, typically a drive-through penalty. The driver has to come back through the pit lane, sticking to the speed limit without stopping. It costs a lot of time, easily 5, maybe 10 seconds or more, depending on the pit lane length. Can ruin your race.
yeah, definitely costly. And what about releasing the car back into the fast lane? We sometimes hear about unsafe releases.
That's a major safety focus for the FIA. The rule is crystal clear. Teams must only release a car from its pit box when it's demonstrably safe to do so. They can't release it into the path of another car already in the fast lane.
And the penalty for getting that wrong.
Can be severe. Fines, time penalties added after the race, potentially even disqualification in really bad cases. It's incredibly dangerous to have collisions in the confined space of the pit lane.
Okay, so we've covered the car and the pit stop mechanics. Let's dive into the brain power behind it, all of the race strategy. And tire management seems to be absolutely central to modern F1 strategy.
It is the strategic core. The regulations mandate it, really. In a dry race, drivers must make at least one pit stop, and they must use at least 2 different types of the dry tire compounds available, soft, medium, or hard.
Unless it's wet, then the rules change.
Right. Wet races are different, but in the dry, that mandatory stop and tire change forces strategic thinking.
And it creates that fundamental trade-off, doesn't it, between the different tire types?
Exactly. The softer tires, the softs, give you the most grip and therefore the most speed, but they wear out faster. They suffer rapid degradation. The harder compounds, the hards, last much longer, offer more durability, but they're slower. The mediums are, well, in the middle.
So the strategists are constantly calculating. When does the time lost from worn tires outweigh the time lost making a pit stop?
That's the fundamental calculation, finding that crossover point. When are your lap times on old tires slow enough that pitting for fresh, faster tires becomes the quicker option overall?
And degradation isn't just one thing, is it? Tires can lose performance in different ways.
That's a key point. There's structural degradation, which is the physical wearing down of the rubber. But often the more critical factor is thermal degradation.
Overheating.
Exactly. When the tire surface gets too hot, the rubber chemistry changes, the grip just plummets. Drivers talk about the tires going off a cliff. Performance just disappears very suddenly.
And there are specific problems tires can suffer from, things that force a pit stop, sometimes unexpectedly. Let's get into some of that vocabulary. Blistering.
Blistering is usually caused by the core of the tire getting too hot, causing pockets of rubber near the surface to overheat and literally break away, forming blisters. Looks like bubbles on the surface.
Okay. And graining. That sounds different.
Graining is more related to the car sliding laterally on the track surface. It tears small strips or chunks of rubber off the tire, but then these chunks stick back onto the hot surface, creating a rough, uneven texture that massively reduces grip.
Right. And what about a lockup under braking?
A lockup is when a driver brakes so hard that one or more tires stop rotating completely, skidding along the track surface.
You see the puff of smoke.
Exactly. And the immediate consequence is usually flat spotting the tire. It wears a flat patch onto the otherwise round tire.
Which must cause horrible vibrations.
Extreme vibrations makes the car very difficult, sometimes impossible, to drive at speed. A significant lockup almost always forces an immediate unscheduled pit stop, and all those bits of rubber torn off by blistering, graining lockups, they accumulate off the ideal racing line. Those are the marbles, slippery stuff.
Okay, so understanding tires is crucial for the big strategic plays. The dichotomy, as the outline calls it, between the undercut and the overcut. These are key tactical moves.
Absolutely key. This is where races are often won or lost on the pit wall. Let's start with the undercut.
Okay.
The undercut is when the following car pits earlier than the car they're chasing. They come in, get fresh tires.
But you're immediately much faster.
Right. They have that new tire advantage.
Right.
So the driver doing the undercut pushes like crazy on their lap out of the pits. the outlap, and the lap before they pitted, the inlap, the idea is to gain enough time with that superior pace to jump ahead of the rival when they eventually make their pit stop a lap or two later.
So you need to gain more time on track than you lose in the pit lane itself.
Precisely. If the total time lost driving through the pit lane and stopping is, say, 20 seconds, the undercutting driver needs to find more than 20 seconds relative to their rival during that crucial window, their fast in-lap, their stop, their fast out-lap, compared to the rival's laps on old tires.
Makes sense. So it works best when tires degrade quickly.
Yes, high degradation tracks favor the undercut. Also tracks with relatively short pit lane time loss.
Okay, so what's the counter? The overcut.
The overcut is the opposite strategy. The driver ahead, or sometimes a chasing driver who couldn't make the undercut work, deliberately stays out longer on their older tires after their rival has pitted.
Why would you do that? Aren't your tires slower?
They might be. But you're gambling. You're hoping you can still set decent lap times, perhaps because you have clear track ahead of you now your rival is in the pits. Or maybe you believe your rival's new tires won't be that much faster initially, or they had a slow pit stop. So you push hard on those older tires for an extra lap or two, then you pit. The hope is that the time you gained by staying out in clear air, or maybe benefiting from track evolution if the track is getting faster, is enough to allow you to emerge from your pit stop still ahead of the rival who pitted earlier.
So the overcut works better when maybe tire wear isn't so high, or perhaps on a track where the pit lane loss is really significant.
Exactly. Or if the track is green and getting faster lap by lap, staying out longer means you benefit more from that improving grip. It's a strategic gamble, like the undercut.
Fascinating. Strategy is all about planning, but F1 is unpredictable. Races get disrupted by unforeseen exigencies, accidents, debris. That's when we see the safety car, right?
Correct. If there's danger on track, the race director can deploy either the full safety car, SC, or the virtual safety car, VSC.
What's the difference?
The full safety car is a physical car, usually a high-performance road car, that comes out onto the track and leads the field at a reduced speed. It bunches everyone up while marshals clear the incident.
Okay. And the VSC?
The VSC is, well, virtual. There's no physical car. Instead, all drivers are electronically instructed to slow down immediately, usually by about 35–40% of their normal race pace. They have to maintain a specific minimum lap time, or rather, stay above a minimum time for each timing sector on the track.
Ah, that's the delta time you hear about. They can't just slow down briefly and then speed up again.
Exactly. They have to maintain that reduced speed consistently around the entire lap, sector by sector, relative to a reference time. It neutralizes the race without bunching the cars up nose to tail like the full SC does.
And strategically, pitting under either SC or VSC can be a huge advantage.
Oh, massive. Because the whole field is driving much slower, the amount of track time you lose by driving down the pit lane and stopping is significantly less compared to pitting under green flag conditions. It's often called a cheap pit stop. Teams will often jump at the chance to pit if an SC or VSC comes out at the right moment.
Makes strategic sense. Okay, beyond safety cars, we need to understand the basic flag protocol, the visual language of the track. Yellow flag.
Yellow flag means danger ahead, either on the track or right beside it. Drivers must slow down significantly, be prepared to stop, and absolutely no overtaking is allowed in a yellow flag zone.
Got it. More serious. Red flag.
Red flag means stop immediately. The session or race is suspended, usually because of a major accident blocking the track or extremely dangerous weather conditions. All cars must proceed slowly back to the pit lane.
And the worst flag for a driver, the black flag.
That's the one nobody wants to see. The black flag, shown with a driver's race number, means disqualification. They must return to the pits immediately and retire from the race. It's rare, usually for a major rule infringement or dangerous driving.
Okay. What about the blue flag?
The blue flag is informational. It's shown to a slower car, often called a back marker, to warn them that a faster car is about to lap them. The slower driver is obliged to let the faster car through safely and without delaying them unduly.
Right, get out of the way, essentially. And finally, the most welcome flag for the leader.
The checkered flag indicates the end of the session or, most importantly, the end of the race.
Okay, great overview of the flags. Now, let's decode some of that radio jargon between the pit wall and the driver, that crucial link. When an engineer says box, box.
That's the command. Short, sharp. It means pit this lap. Come into the pits now. The term barks comes from the German word Boxenstopp, meaning pit stop. It's just become standard F1 language.
Box, box. Got it. What about lift and coast?
That's an instruction usually given to save fuel, or sometimes to manage engine or brake temperatures.
How does it work?
It means the driver has to lift their foot completely off the throttle pedal much earlier than they normally would when approaching a braking zone, and just coast towards the corner before hitting the brakes. It sacrifices a bit of lap time, but it can be crucial for making it to the end of the race if fuel is tight.
Right. Fuel-saving tactic.
Mhm.
Okay, last pair of jargon terms related to airflow. Dirty air versus clean air.
Hugely important for overtaking. Dirty air is the turbulent, swirling wake coming off the back of a leading car. When a following car drives into this dirty air,
It loses downforce.
exactly. The disturbed air disrupts the airflow over its own wings and floor, significantly reducing its downforce and making it much harder to follow closely, especially through corners. Clean air, on the other hand, is undisturbed air, what a car gets when it's running by itself or leading. That allows its aerodynamic devices to work at maximum efficiency, generating maximum downforce.
Which makes being stuck in dirty air so frustrating for a chasing driver.
Immensely frustrating. And that's why the DRS, the drag reduction system, was introduced.
Ah yes, DRS, the overtaking aid. How does that work again?
It's a system the driver can activate. It opens a flap on the rear wing.
You see it pop open on the straight.
Right. Opening that flap stalls the rear wing, slightly, drastically reducing aerodynamic drag. Less drag means higher top speed on the straight.
Makes overtaking easier.
That's the idea. But crucially, it can only be used in specific designated DRS zones on the track, and only if the chasing car is detected as being less than 1 second behind the car in front at a specific detection point before the zone. It's designed to help mitigate that dirty air effect just enough to allow for an overtaking attempt.
Okay, let's bring all this technical talk and strategy into the real world. The 2025 season looks fascinating from a strategic standpoint. We've got this intense multi-team battle at the front. McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes must be keeping the strategists on their toes.
Oh, absolutely. The competitive landscape is incredibly tight. If we look at the standings around round 18, say after the Singapore GP for context, the driver's fight is fierce. Oscar Piastri at McLaren is leading maybe 324 points.
Right.
Maintaining a decent efficacy, you could say, a 25-point cushion over his teammate Lando Norris back on 299. Max Verstappen's still mathematically in it, keeping faint hopes alive around 255 points.
And in the Constructors' Championship, McLaren's consistency really shows. They're leading comfortably, maybe 623 points, followed by Mercedes and Ferrari battling for second. Quite close, around 290, 286 points.
Exactly, and that closeness, especially the intra-team battles, creates huge strategic pressure.
Yeah, look at McLaren. Piastri versus Norris. Two drivers from the same team fighting for the World Championship. How does a team manage that strategically?
It's a massive challenge. Team boss Andrea Stella called it an opportunity, which is the positive spin.
The diplomatic answer.
Yes. But strategically, it's a minefield. You have to provide equal equipment, equal strategic opportunities, at least initially. You can't favor one driver over the other with tire choices or pit stop timing, because any perceived bias could cause internal friction and potentially cost the team points or even the title. It requires incredibly careful management.
And then there's the blockbuster pairing at Ferrari. Lewis Hamilton joining Charles Leclerc. That's got to be sending ripples through the strategy department.
Oh, absolutely. Talk about a high-stakes teammate dynamic. Leclerc himself said it's a huge challenge, but also motivating. He knows he needs to be at his top level against a 7-time champion like Hamilton.
So Ferrari strategists have to deliver perfectly for both drivers.
They really do. Any mistakes will be magnified under that intense spotlight. They need flawless execution to manage those two egos and ambitions, maximize points, and avoid any internal drama spilling out.
The 2025 grid also has some interesting new dynamics, rookies' new pairings.
Definitely. You've got Liam Lawson stepping up alongside Verstappen at Red Bull. Huge pressure for Lawson, learning to operate strategically alongside Max. Then Kimi Antonelli replacing Hamilton at Mercedes alongside George Russell. That's Mercedes making a big strategic bet on youth.
Right, a long-term play. And Williams has put together Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon. Team principal James Vowles seems very bullish on that pairing.
He does. Vowles called it potentially the best driver pairing outside the absolute top teams. That signals a strategic shift for Williams, doesn't it? Prioritizing experienced, proven point scorers to try and really push the team forward consistently. It's about building a foundation for a strategic climb.
And underpinning all these driver battles and strategic calls is that pit lane performance we talked about. It's not just about hitting that one miracle stop. It's about consistency, right? The data shows that.
Absolutely. Looking back at data data, say from 2015-16, 2016-17 seasons, Williams actually had the single fastest stop in both those seasons. They hit that near record 1.92 seconds one year and were still fastest the next year with a 2.02.
So consistently fast, not just a one-off.
Exactly. That's the key strategically. Teams that can reliably churn out fast, error-free stops, maybe 2.1, 2.2 seconds every single time, they reduce the risk in their race strategy. The strategist knows they can rely on the crew. That consistent, coordinated precision is often more valuable across a season than one single headline-grabbing stop followed by a fumbled one next race.
So wrapping this all up,
Yeah.
what's the big takeaway for you, the listener, trying to understand F1 on a deeper level? It really hammers home that success isn't just about the driver, is it? It's profoundly collaborative.
It really is a true team sport where the efficacy of the strategy, the engineering, the human coordination, it all has to come together. Those tiny fractions of a second in the pits, the split-second calls on the pit wall, they are absolutely critical. We've seen how that F1 Trinity driver, car crew, operates under immense pressure.
And looking ahead, thinking about that incredible evolution, especially at pit stop times, that 96% reduction since the 50s, where does it end?
Well, that's the fascinating, provocative thought, isn't it? Given the relentless pace of technological development, improved materials, better training, maybe even automation assists in future, what are the ultimate theoretical and technological constraints? The research actually touches on this. Could we see pit stops consistently drop below 1 second in the coming years?
Sub 1 second. That seems almost physically impossible. The reaction times needed.
It pushes the absolute limits of human coordinated precision, doesn't it? Mechanics would almost have to be anticipating the car's final position before it even stops. It really makes you wonder about the ceiling for human-machine interaction in such a high-pressure environment.
A fascinating thought to leave our listeners with.
So, we hope you can now take some of this advanced vocabulary, this technical lexicon, understanding the undercut, the overcut, VSC, delta times, blistering, graining, the sheer precision of the pit stop, and apply it next time you're watching a Grand Prix. It really does add another layer to the appreciation of the sport.
It certainly does. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into the incredible strategy and engineering that makes Formula One the true apex of motorsports.